Satnam, this is Satpudik coming to you on Friday afternoon. I apologize, I lost track of time making my plant-based meal. Anyway, I wanted to talk about Guru Gobind Singh and his notion of recognize the entire human race as one, and the current situation in the United States and around the world. I grew up in the South. I grew up in a town that was basically 50% African American, 25-30% Latino, and a mix of other what would now be called white. But growing up, it was still culturally Polish, Italian, Czech. And the differences were economic more than color-coded. In the community I grew up in, small towns don't have the luxury of too much separation. And that's the gift of being in a small town, obviously. But we also can't get, in our effort to unify or understand that everyone is one consciousness, one human race, we can't overlook the reality of communities of color that are under attack and have been under attack since the inception of the United States and around the world. And for whatever reason, dominance in different places tends to separate itself out by color. Even communities of color sometimes will separate out based on the continuum of the shade of color. So we recognize this as a human tendency. And as yogis, it's very easy, my dogs are about to go bark at something. As yogis, it's very easy to, in our effort to move toward this consciousness that we are one human race. We are not fundamentally genetically different in any way. There is only one species of human living today, and at the same time, there is this color-coded reality that people, brown people, experience day to day, and some of those people are yogis and friends, and it also includes the LGBTQ and all the other issues of what we think of as the other. And we're especially vulnerable in yogic communities to want to spiritually bypass the experience of brown people and people of the other that we call the other. LGBTQ communities come to mind, and just focus on the oneness, because we so want to get past those prejudices and those systemic racist agendas that are part of our culture. We so want to get past it that we just say, oh, let's focus on what the truth is, because it is true. There is no fundamental difference. We are one. And at the same time, that notion of focusing on the truth of that, as beautiful as it may feel and be, if you're in the majority power structure, white, middle class human being, you negate the reality and the experience of so many people who are the other. And we have an Aquarian Sutra, recognize the other person as you. And my friend Avtar Kar in San Francisco has done some amazing work on what it means to recognize the other. Because all of us in our own communities have these either, stratagems or, levels that we feel we don't belong to or we do belong to. And so all of us, what she calls the line, are above or below the line depending on the situation we're in. But the realities that's happening in the United States today and around the world with the fascist agenda coming to fore in the name of defense of freedom of speech is frankly terrifying. And as yogis, we cannot allow ourselves to let the idealism of truth, because it is true, there is only one human race, get in the way of our social justice work, get in the way of using ourself, our privilege, our advantage to uphold and uplift and defend people who are not seen as the same. And it's our job as Sikhs, as Gursikhs, to defend those underrepresented populations. It is our sworn duty. And the truth of that sworn duty comes in the recognition. Recognize the other person as you. Recognize we are all connected. There's nothing that my choices can do that don't affect outside in the world. It just doesn't exist. That reality of some bubble that we can all live in that's safe, it's not real. What is real is that all of our choices contribute to either breaking down the systemic racism in the United States and around the world, breaking down the tribal barriers, breaking down the social structures, the class issues, the color issues. And the only way to break them down is to recognize them first. Own our privilege as white people. Recognize what it's like. At least become willing to listen to what it's like to be a brown body operating in a white world. Because there is no colorless world. And this is the world that we think we live in as white people. So, yes, recognize the entire human race as one beautiful truth to live by. And as yogis, if we're really going to truly dedicate ourselves to uplifting other people and to reaching out to what is, we have to not spiritually bypass the reality of what it's like to be a brown body in the United States today and around the world. Thank you for your time. This feels a little heavy, but I haven't responded to what happened in Charlottesville. I haven't responded to the environmental degradation in communities in parts of Houston that are majority affected by the hurricane. That is systemic racism at work. And it's our job to be conscious of these things. Be consciously conscious of our own consciousness and the systems that we contribute to. Thank you for your time. Have a good weekend. Satnam.